Post Malone. The very mention of this hip-hop phenomenon is enough to jam traffic on Spotify and pack the arena seats. Having first hit the big time in 2015, the glamorous life of the Texas rhyme buster is about the same as the lifespan of a guinea pig. But that's a long enough period to foster a reputation for hard partying and a lavish lifestyle that only millions can buy. And he's only 23 with a bank account that's bursting at the seams. How does he deal with such a mounting income that started with his breakout hit White Iverson, you ask? Well, he spends it naturally, throwing cash around in every direction. Find out what's gracing the interior of his cushy crib and more as we look at how Post Malone spends his millions. Unlike most rappers who cut their teeth in more impoverished neighborhoods like New York and Los Angeles, Post Malone didn't exactly have a tough life while growing up. Although he was born in the Empire State, most of his youth was spent growing up in Texas, thanks to his dad's occupation as a concession manager with the Dallas Cowboys. Still, a middle-class upbringing is pretty modest when you consider the castle that Post Malone has to himself these days, namely a 5,300 square foot crib that includes 4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, a swimming pool with a spa, and marble-tiled floors. The mansion is reportedly worth about $3 million and provides plenty of room to hang all those music awards and platinum records he's earned in his relatively short career so far. But the rapper isn't done yet, as he's dropped another cool $3 million on a bunker in northern Utah. At 13,000 square feet, this underground shelter will have at least 20 bunks and all the supplies needed to ride out a potential world catastrophe. Although not as cushy as his LA digs, Posty will likely use this facility as a future address, should his recording career somehow get derailed by the apocalypse. But at least he'll be ready for it. While growing up in Dallas, Post Malone was playing around with music equipment and recording devices, putting together some rather cheesy tunes. And much of what he purchased was through a series of odd jobs while in high school. But besides putting together an arsenal that he hoped would eventually vault him into the big time, he also had his eye on the prize. Namely, what he could get for himself once he started getting rich. For example, he saved enough money at a job he had at Chicken Express to put $800 down on a shiny pair of Versace shoes. Today, that infatuation for high-class footwear has stayed with him, as he's reportedly obsessed with foreign labels of upper-crust clothing and, of course, shoes. It's not uncommon for him to go shopping in posh areas around the world when he's touring and spend up to $1,000 on a pair of sneakers. He once bragged that he has more than 1,000 pairs of Nike Huaraches and a wardrobe lined with clothes by designers like Dolce & Gabbana, Gosha Rubchinskiy, and Gucci. Vogue magazine described his taste as sleazy chic, but that hasn't been enough to deter Malone from showing off his glitzy threads. Weaned on rock while in Texas, Post Malone was likely going in that direction had he not come across an album by rap act Terror Squad that changed his life. It wasn't long before he moved to LA, where he quickly got the attention of the Republic label, which signed him after they checked out his indie tracks on the SoundCloud website. That put Malone in top gear, and ever since, the rapper has been in the fast lane. And what better way to show off that acceleration to fame and fortune than with a unique car collection to grace the lot in his mansion? Malone's pride and joy these days is his white Rolls-Royce Wraith, the most powerful car in the brand's fleet, with a turbocharged V12 engine that can deliver more than 600 horsepower, with a price tag of nearly $400,000. When he was in an accident, he lost his prized ride, but compensated for that with the purchase of a Rolls-Royce Phantom for $420,000. Besides the Rolls, Post has a custom Lincoln Continental with comfy leather upholstery, shiny rims, and a mind-blasting sound system. And then there's his 1992 Ford Explorer that's since been upgraded and pimped out with features only the likes of Post Malone can afford. There's no arguing that Post Malone's rise to stardom and a podium spot in the hierarchy of the hip-hop kingdom has been nothing short of speedy. It's pretty amazing considering there's no shortage of rappers still plying their craft in basements and rehearsal spaces, hoping that a breakbeat or two will give them the break they need. Once Malone was signed to Republic, the hits came fast and furious, namely White Iverson and a handful of platinum singles. That prompted a studio session with Kanye West and an opening spot on a Justin Bieber tour. Yep, Post Malone was on his way into the pop culture stratosphere. What better way to hit those heights than being a passenger in his own private jet, a Gulfstream 4 worth at least $1.4 million. This dual-engined winged wonder can reach up to 552 miles an hour and can comfortably accommodate around 12 passengers. But all that comfort wasn't enough to add a streak of adventure into Post Malone's travels last August, when the plane apparently blew 2 tires during takeoff from New Jersey. However, it didn't deter one of rap's most dynamic upstarts from taking to the air after a quick repair job. He's still flying the friendly skies every time his work and lavish lifestyle warrant a long-distance trip. Just as often as Post Malone's hits climb the charts are the stories of the star's affinity for getting into party mode. The paparazzi regularly go bonkers, forever clicking away at Malone, like at the recent American Music Awards. He's always posing with a drink in his hand right from the moment he hits the red carpet, making his way to the ceremony. His partying habits after hours almost dominated the proceedings at an MTV function, when he was seen swilling away with the likes of G-Eazy, French Montana, and Rita Ora. You'd think that with all that revelry, there's a chance he might miss an appointment, a studio session, or a high-profile appearance. So far, that hasn't been much of an issue, thanks in part to how he keeps time in style. That's courtesy of the glitzy Rolex Day-Date 2 watch he sports, reputedly one of the most prestigious products put out by the legendary Swiss timekeeping company. Retailing for around $40,000, this Rolex is water-resistant at depths of up to 300 feet below the surface and is crafted painstakingly from 18-karat gold. It's also self-winding and scratch-resistant. Even for a party-hardy star like Post Malone, the Rolex is his first line of defense against being tardy anywhere he needs to be. Our next few minutes examining how Post Malone spends his millions might have more to do with his upbringing, although having a bigger revenue stream doesn't hurt. Well, this one will definitely hurt anyone who tries to steal any of his wealth. Post Malone's only lived in Los Angeles, and given that he spent much of his youth growing up in the Lone Star State, there's one expenditure that really demonstrates that you can take the boy out of Texas, but you can't take Texas out of the boy. The rap star is literally locked and loaded with a huge arsenal of guns, such as an M14, a rifle of choice among Navy SEALs. He also owns a Walther PPK, the sidearm of choice for Mr. 007 himself, James Bond. Other firearms he's purchased include such pistols as a .44 Desert Eagle, an M1911, and an FN57 complete with a laser light. Malone also owns 3 Glocks, both of them gold-plated for show, and a Glock 19 that he gave to his girlfriend for her protection. But there's more. Malone isn't shy about inflicting further damage on his intruders with a Mossberg shotgun and a Cobalt AR-15 assault rifle, which he needed to alter in order for the state of California to make it legal. Malone admits to the adrenaline rush he gets when he pulls the trigger, but now that he's hot property, he's also a bit more paranoid these days. Mind you, it is what's inside his castle that Post is keen on protecting. That especially includes a girlfriend who is willing to put up with the high-caliber nuances of her main man, but obviously would want all that bling safe from intruders. Post Malone also owns a lot of jewelry, including a lot of gold chains. It's no secret that Post loves to show off that bling, wearing no less than 3 chains at a time. He even has an affinity for charms by Hello Kitty, but most likely his biggest shiny item is what covers his bridge work. Yup, you're not a bona fide big-time rapper unless you've got those pearly white chompers covered by a multi-carat grill, and Posty is no exception. It turns out that it's not a new obsession, but something he's always wanted back when he was an unknown artist in Dallas. He'd frequently go online to check out who created those grills, send off teeth imprints, and get the results delivered to him. He gave up trying after what he received weren't all that great in the quality department, but by the time he hit pay dirt in LA, he managed to get a decent pair for thousands of bucks. For Post, the investment seemed to be worth it, as he definitely sports a golden grin that signifies a sweet smile of success. When you're as rich as Post Malone, cameras are likely to follow you everywhere, whether it be to an award show, off the side of a stage at one of his gigs, or any nightclubs where he might show up after a show. However, you're not likely to see any digital pics of Post Malone shopping for groceries, going from aisle to aisle searching for toilet paper. That's because he does all his ordering on his smartphone, especially using the Postmates app. According to the grocery app, Post Malone was its top customer, spending more than $40,000 on food in 2018 alone. That total comprises 660 purchases involving about 3,000 items in 52 cities roughly twice a day. One order for a party included items like 4 bottles of Cabernet Sauvignon, 6 bottles of orange juice, 2 bottles of cranberry cocktail, 2 handles of vodka, and 3 packs of rolling papers. Then there was the night when he ordered some Bud Light, but although he loves to spend cash, he seems to like the barter system when it comes to tipping. On this occasion, he tipped the delivery guy with a copy of one of his albums. Which brings us to another expenditure that's more indicative of his gratitude. Fully aware that he's got a following willing to shell out a lot of cash for his music and shows, Post Malone does like to give back. When he played Coachella, he made sure several of his fans didn't leave the festival hungry, so he chipped in $8,000 to buy 10,000 Popeyes biscuits for his very hungry following. He's also got a philanthropic side, but Post being Post, he does it with a flair that's a tad on the extreme and luxurious side. In October, Malone did his bit for the charity Fold of Honor, which funds scholarships to families of disabled and deceased veterans. He raised money by asking fans to chip in $10 for a draw, in which one lucky donor could win a $200,000 Bentley. Naturally, Post had to put on his irreverent hat by disguising himself as an employee at a record store in Los Angeles, complete with a polo shirt and hat. There, he promoted the cause while dismissing the quality of his album Stoney. Somehow, he pulled the stunt off as hardly any fans recognized him. And finally, here's one way Post Malone spends his millions, but it's so far and away from the excesses that's made him famous. Normally, he's the total opposite of his fictional Southern counterpart Forrest Gump, whose life is like a box of chocolates. Unlike Gump, however, you usually know what you're gonna get with Malone. Well, be prepared for a surprise, because even though Post can dine in any restaurant in the world he wishes, his favorite is still, get this, Olive Garden. When his big single Rockstar was released last fall, he celebrated the occasion at a very un-Rockstar Olive Garden location. And in one segment of The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, he took the talk show host to an Olive Garden in New York for a dinner that bordered on hilarious. No caviar or foie gras for this Dallas dude. He's in love with the franchise's free salads that you can load up on, as well as his favorite dish, the extra crispy chicken parmesan. So it's an ironic departure in this look at how Post Malone spends his millions. The Texas rap superstar who loves all the luxuries that his fast life has to offer, from a private jet to a Rolls Royce, from an assortment of guns to his collection of glitzy jewelry, has no problem admitting that his favorite eatery is a franchise that most of his fan base can't afford. Maybe it's one way that Post Malone is able to stay real. Well, Post Malone's platinum card shows no signs of wear and tear, but for us, we've reached the end of how one of rap's most notorious big spenders makes the most of his wealth. Was there any bling that caught your interest? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Thanks for watching.